Hi, everyone. It's Angela's Create Your Future. Happy Saturday. Thank you for being here. So, today, guys, I am talking about letting go of the current 3D reality, doing this so that you can experience the new reality, the more preferred reality. So, stick around for this. It's going to be great. I do just want to remind you, real quickly, that we have lots of things down below in the description box. We have links for coaching if you want to work one on one with me. If you would like to check out that free course that Create Your Future is offering, if you want to check out my course, all of those things are down below. You just follow the links and we will get you connected with whatever it is that you want to sign up for. If you just need that, little boost of support, if you have questions, if you want some more details that would be more specific for what it is that you're manifesting, then check out our description box, sign up for some coaching, and I will work with you one-on-one. I'd love to do that. Okay, guys, let's talk about letting go of the 3D. So very often, when people come to me and they're wanting to see a change in their specific person, and I'm talking really right now, most specifically, if we have been dealing with maybe a toxic relationship and maybe some traumatic behavior and some drama that has gone on there in this relationship, a relationship with history that has been there for some time. People come into this setting, they come into this law of assumption community. They, when I work with them on coaching, their viewpoint is often that I have to just stick this out. I have to just power through. I have to just endure what's happening and, go in and change that story, and it's all going to show up for me, in the future, which theoretically, this is how it works. But I want to talk to you about dealing with negative behaviors. I've had a lot of people leave comments and ask questions. What about somebody that's very toxic? I've seen very negative behavior, things like that. Can addictions, things like that, can people change? The answer is yes, they can change. Any circumstance can turn around. Any version of any person can show up in your reality. But the key to it is you. The key to it, as Neville says, no one to change but self, is always you. So it's to the degree that you can change your perception of self and then change your perception of this person. And we're not talking just romantic. It can be a family member. It can be a boss, any capacity where you're talking about a relationship with someone. The degree of change depends on the degree of change within you. And when we are dealing with this kind of behavior and we're seeing it over and over, and I'm talking about negative behaviors, things that might accompany, addictions and, things like that. When we're seeing that sort of behavior, negative things show up, and we allow that again and again and again, our brain is being forced to put attention on these things. Our brain is being forced to think about these things because we're seeing them over and over and over. And when we're doing that, in essence, we are saying yes to that behavior. I want you to listen to that again. When we allow these things to happen, we are saying yes to that behavior. It is like we are manifesting for that bad behavior. Now, I'm talking about a history of this sort of thing. We all can have things show up on a day-to-day basis. Somebody might say something negative. We might have a negative experience come in. And in the moment, we can say, no, I don't choose that. No, I choose a different story. We revise it. That works. But when we have been allowing this in our life again and again and again, and it is impressed upon our subconscious, and we continue to observe it, we are looping in that behavior. And so the first thing to do in getting yourself into a position where you can have something different, you can have a new relationship, you can have a new version of someone, is to say no to that behavior. And most often this involves some type of a boundary in the 3D, a boundary where you are removing yourself from that type of behavior. Excuse me. And it often even has become an addiction within ourselves because we get chemicals that are released in the brain when we are experiencing that kind of interaction. There's like a stimulation in the brain and chemicals are released and we begin to become addicted to that. So the first thing is to stand up to that and say no. You're telling your brain, you're telling yourself internally, no more of that. You're setting the standard for what you're going to allow. So you're saying goodbye to that old 3D. And there's a process that goes with that. I have been through this, and because what you're doing is saying goodbye to that version of that person. You're no longer going to identify with that version of that person and identify with that version of you that has tolerated these things. So you're literally saying goodbye to that. You're saying that is not for me anymore. I'm choosing something different. And so you're physically in the 3D stepping away from that. The next part that I want to help you understand is that when you step away from that, you remove yourself from having to look at that all the time. You're now giving yourself more clarity. You're giving yourself headspace. You're giving yourself some freedom, some clarity to create the new story. And as you do that, there may be a bit of a grieving process because you literally are saying goodbye to that person. There's a new person, a new version that does exist, but that version you're saying goodbye to. And that is okay. And if it feels uncomfortable, if it feels painful, if it's scary, if it's hurtful, just know that that's normal because that's a normal part of the grieving process, right? And you're grieving that old thing that you were addicted to, that you were attached to. There was a trauma bond. You are saying goodbye to that. So you allow yourself to process everything that comes with that. You allow the emotions, you allow whatever, but you are taking a stand for you. You're saying no to the old version of someone and the old dynamic of that relationship so that you can get yourself into a place where you can create the new. So guys, this is usually very essential when you are dealing with a negative relationship where there has possibly been addictions and all of the negative things that accompany those things. You are getting yourself into a space that is going to create a new story and totally separate from that old version of that person and that old story. So, and as I said at the very beginning, many times my clients feel like, well, I have to just endure and power through and, go within, go within, go within. But when you are seeing something in your face over and over, the negative behavior, maybe the ugly behavior, the disrespectful behavior, all sorts of things that are unpleasant. When you're seeing it, it does soak in, it does impress, it is affecting the subconscious. And if you already have been experiencing it, right? If this is historical practice within that relationship, it's just going to resonate with what's already there and stay. So no, don't allow those negative things to come in and say, I'm just going to manifest and go within. If it's hurtful, if it's damaging, if you're feeling bad about it, set a boundary, remove yourself, and get to a place where you can begin to process those emotions. And that's part of that, okay? Processing those feelings, the grief, from breaking that bond, there's going to be some grief, processing how you felt during that situation, some pain, all sorts of things. But there's a processing of the emotions. That's part of clearing the headspace because you're moving that energy out. And listen, guys, if you're staying in that situation, right? If you're staying there and you're dealing with it constantly, the energy isn't moving out. That's what we want to happen. That energy of that story needs to move out. So you process those feelings, those emotions, but you've got to be in a clear space to do that. So you process those things, you've said goodbye to that version, You're getting those old emotions out, and there are affirmations and things you can do for that. That's something I can help you with. And then when you get to a more stable place, you can then begin to create that story of who you are in that relationship. If it was romantic, if it was, a family member, maybe it was somebody at work, whatever. But you begin to create the story of who you want to be, how you want to be treated, how you want to feel about yourself. You rebuild yourself, and that should really come first because you need to become very stable, very strong in that. So you create affirmations around how you want to feel: respected, honored, safe, very secure, things like that. And as you begin to grow in this new identity, you're identifying now as a person of strength, all of these things. Then, if you so choose, you can begin to create your new version of your person. You can do this. People are showing up always based on how we're seeing them. So you can create a new story for your person. You can create a new story for their mental and emotional health and from freedom from addictions and from new behaviors. You can create that. But it's all going to come from this place within you where you are now very stable. Your thinking is very clear. You understand your worth, your value, your power, all of those things. And that allows you to now open up and explore a new version of someone else, what you truly would like, seeing them at their very best, right? So you become your very best. You become you become the best version of you so that that person can become the best version of themselves. I hope all this is making sense. And so you have said goodbye to that other version so that you can now experience the new version, which is coming from within you. This person now that is very stable, confident, and strong. So it's separating from those things in the 3D that keep us looped into that pattern of thinking, that pattern of expectation, that pattern of assumption, so that our mind can clear, we can stabilize, we can probably sometimes take a breath, and then begin to explore the idea of a new version of someone. So it's always very possible, but you have to be willing to let go of the old version, no longer entertain the old version, no longer, interact on that level that was probably toxic and unhealthy, things like that. You have to let go of it so that your head can clear, so that your emotions can move negative energy through, so you can process those things and you can become very stable and clear, and within now create a new version that's going to match who you are. I hope all of this is making sense. I hope you're understanding where I'm coming from. It's all so that you can stabilize, so that you can actually have a clear space within to create from, right? If we are living in survival, if we're living in trauma, if we're living in the drama of things, we don't have time to get clear. We don't have time to move that negative energy out because it just keeps coming in over and over and over. So we have to allow ourselves this space and realize it's only temporary. Because if you truly love someone, you truly want that relationship, you truly want something to work in, this particular setting, then you create the new story once you're stable. Okay? And you don't have to worry about the how as far as things working out differently and this person showing up differently and how do we reconnect and how does this happen. You don't have to worry about any of that. You just have to get yourself into that place where you become clear in your thinking. Your mind and your head is now clear and you're relieved from that chaos, and you get stable and focus now on the new version. You focus on the things that you really want to see in this person's life. You focus on the things that you really want to see in the relationship. You come from the perspective that you're so worthy and you're that valuable. And of course, people are going to change and accommodate and show up differently because of how amazing you are. It's all about this new version of you experiencing this new version of someone else from the place of clarity and stability. So guys, I really hope this encourages you, because if you're in that position, I know it can sometimes feel impossible. It can feel like you don't know a way out. It can feel like, everybody else can have their specific person except for me because my case is, X, Y, and Z, and it's so terrible. But I want to give you some hope, and I want to tell you that yes, it can change, it can turn around, but it requires you making a decision for you. So guys, I hope that this was really helpful and that you're encouraged. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.